Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. Brian Fisher is my name. You are listening to Focal Point, the home of muscular Christianity on Conservative Talk Radio. Our caller in the last segment talking about a change in the rules. And again, I cannot talk in detail. I read one story about it this morning. I had a lot of other things on my plate today, so I wasn't able to digest that story in any kind of detail. But it has to do with a rules change that was made by John Boehner, and it was made according to the House rules. So he didn't do anything underhanded here. If you play by the rules, I got no complaint with what you do. If you follow the rules, that's basically being in a culture which believes in the rule of law. You play by the rules, and I'm not going to have a problem with what you do. I may not like the outcome, but I'm not going to quarrel with the process if you did it according to the rules. And John Boehner has engineered a change in the House rules, again, using proper protocol. So there's nothing underhanded here, nothing unethical about this, but it is going to make it more difficult for the Democrats to kind of stop what the Republicans are trying to do to deal with this shutdown. So again, we'll have some more on that tomorrow. I have a chance to do a little more reading on that. Let's grab a couple of phone calls before we get back to content. Let's go to Russell in Texas. Russell, welcome to Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What's on your mind?
Oh, thank you. I was going to tell you that nobody seems to know what the reason they're blocking out us veterans from the mall is. It's because we're terrorist wannabes.
Yeah, well, that's the way the military looks at them, Russell. That's the way the military looks at the American Family Association. We're a bunch of domestic hate groups, domestic terror groups.
And they're just trying to regulate our activity around the mall and Washington, D.C. The other thing I'd like to know is, have you heard anything else about the $661 billion tax hike they were talking about here a little while ago?
Well, I'm not sure exactly what you are referring to. A couple of things. Number one, as we know from the CBO, that Obamacare will cost $621 billion over the next 10 years. I don't know if that's what you're referring to.
No.
But the CBO has said, look, this isn't going to be revenue neutral like President Obama. It's not going to reduce the cost of health care. Cost of health care is going to go up $621 billion. Now, the other thing, I don't know if you're talking about the effort to resolve the sequester, because President Obama now is holding the Republicans ransom. He says, unless you give me $1 trillion tax hike, unless you undo the sequester cuts, I'm not going to agree to any kind of budget talks or any kind of negotiations over the debt ceiling. So I don't know if you're talking about that. He wants to reverse all the spending cuts. So he wants an increase in spending, an increase in debt in order to sit down and talk with the Republicans. Now, I don't know if that's what you're talking about, or do you have something else that's on your mind?
No, I thought I'm pretty sure I heard him talking about a $661 billion tax increase.
Okay.
No, that's it. I was just going to help you along with why they're trying to keep the veterans off the mall.
And why do you think that is?
Because we're terrorists.
Oh, yeah. Well,
they're on the watch list.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And you even had, I appreciate the call. Thank you for that, Russell. We even had that call that statement from Janet Napolitano a number of years ago, identifying the people we got to worry about, all the terrorist groups, all the potential terrorists, and returning veterans were right at the top of the list. I mean, I don't even know if Muslims were anywhere on there. Muslims were virtually absent from that list. And so the people you got to worry about are these returning veterans. They are loaded grenades ready to go off with little provocation. Let's go to Anna in Tampa, Florida. Anna, welcome to Focal Point. What's on your mind?
Hi.
Hi, Anna.
I've been listening about the abortion issues as well as others, and in 1973, I had been left on my own since I was 15. So at 17, I met a fella, and he promised me the world, etc. So when I got pregnant, I thought it was great, but he didn't, so he left. I had nowhere to go, etc. So I 3 months pregnant, and
Wow.
there was a local abortionist known as the butcher,
Mm-hmm.
but he was real cheap, and not everybody got butchered. So I scraped up enough money and went. And 5 days later, I kept calling saying I'm bleeding profusely, and don't know what to do. My sister let me stay with her until I recuperated for just a few days, and she was going all the time to work. So I said, I'm bleeding so much, I feel like something's going to fall out of me. And she said, some girls bleed more than others. Just keep your feet up. And it kept on like that. So on that 5th day, I rushed to the bathroom and passed out on the floor.
Wow.
And was I was hemorrhaging and lost most of my blood. But a fella came in, a friend of my sister's. Just I'd say he was God sent, because that normally never happened. And he turned to the left as he came through the front, and the bathroom door was wide open, and I was just laying there in a pool of blood. So he grabbed me and put me in his back seat and rushed me up to the hospital. It wasn't real far, but when he got me there, they ran me. I remember coming to for just a second, and they ran me down the hall into the emergency room. And turned out, long story short, they had to cut me open, and as if I had had a C-section and so forth, and remove all the organs and stuff to try. It was exploratory surgery, and because I couldn't talk, I couldn't tell what happened. I was out, and then when I came to, I was in critical condition, not expected to live. They called my family, and they, from here and there, wherever they were, came together, and were standing there and looking at me with their hands over their faces, kind of crying. And and I was all dosed up on morphine, and it just looked to me like they were watching me die. So I just told everyone to leave, and then I wasn't, I didn't think I was going to make it, and I apologized to the Lord, and asked for forgiveness and so forth. And then somehow, like always, I pulled through, and all that blood they had given me, it was just about every bit the body, takes. They gave that back to me, thank God. And then it just turned out 2 years, I'll go back, I'll miss that, and go into 88. I was told I'd never have a child again. There were so many holes in my uterus. And then it caused acute appendicitis. It was ready to burst from the infection of all the blood and stuff in there. Well, 88, I was settled, and the only thing I was missing was a child, and, my son. I just always wanted a son, and I was blessed with a son.
Wow.
But, at first, these hospitals are just money crazy, because I had some pain in my left side, and I was 3 months along, and I went in, and they admitted me, and this new girl who had just come out of school said, I just don't like the way things are going. I'm afraid the baby may not be in, where it should be, in the uterus, so I'm just setting you up for a D&C for tomorrow morning, so get ready for that.
Wow, this was the hospital. This was the hospital that kind of engineered that. So what did you do? Did you go through with that, or did you tell them no?
No. My mom had 9 children, and Catholic, and they left me alone because she was going through menopause, and it almost took her mind. My dad tried taking her back to Pennsylvania with the younger kids, and I was, left with my older sister.
So did you have your son?
Well, what happened there was, real quick, let me try to make it quick. I called my mother, and I told her what was going on, and she said, you leave that hospital and leave it now. That baby's right where it needs to be. Don't you let them take that baby. For some reason, she knew. So they wouldn't release me, so I just took the IV out and walked out myself.
Wow.
And my boyfriend came and got me, and we went home, and that was the end of that. I ended up having a perfectly healthy little boy who's 25 years old and the love of my life.
Wow. Well, good for him.
But there was a lot of calcium deposit on that placenta. He was 5 pounds 4 ounces because he wasn't getting all the nutrients that he should. He got plenty.
Yeah.
He took all mine.
But you chose life at that critical time, even despite the fact you had pressure from medical professionals professionals telling you that you needed to terminate this pregnancy, terminate this, you need to abort this baby, and with the help of your mom, you just said no, and now you've got a beautiful, healthy 25-year-old son to thank God for.
Oh, yeah, real good boy, too, at that.
All right, Anna. Well, listen, I appreciate your story. I appreciate you calling, and thank you for that. And, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, Ben Carson saying, look, the real war on women here is the war on babies. It's a war on unborn women. And here is a woman that suffered the loss of a child due to abortion, made the better choice, chose life the second time, and is very glad now today that she did. Let's go to Mill Skinner in Sanford, Texas. Mill Skinner, welcome. What's on your mind?
Hello?
Yes, go right ahead.
Hey, God bless you, brother.
God bless you.
So now, did I hear that he was trying to block off the Korean Memorial also?
That I have not read. They very well could have done that. I know they didn't try to block off. They didn't try to block off the LBJ Memorial, but there was no need to do that because no soldier had any interest in visiting that memorial whatsoever. But I haven't heard about the Korean. I don't know one way or another.
I just caught a little bit last night. Of course, I have welfare TV. I refuse to pay people to watch a little bit of TV, so I just go off an antenna, listen to you guys where I get most of my news. But this is just ridiculous. I called you here a couple weeks ago when they first did the World War II memorial.
Yeah.
And I mean, is he serious? I mean, I'm waiting for him to try the Vietnam Memorial.
Yeah.
We were 600,000 strong in '77 when I did the Run for the Wall.
Yeah.
And he does that. He's going to have a lot of sleds show up there again, a lot of veterans that ride. The Patriot Guard, I heard the gentleman earlier.
Yeah.
Praise God for what they do.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting, too, and I appreciate the call, Mule Skinner. Thank you for that. Valley Forge, you got a bunch of runners down. Remember we had the story about the guy that got a $100 ticket. They got ticketed $100 for running in Valley Forge, the national park. They had a race there yesterday. They had a whole bunch of people turn out. They're not going to take this land down. You're going to have what you've got, ladies and gentlemen, are all of these spontaneous tea parties breaking out everywhere, all over the fruited plain. The American people are saying, look, we're not going to take this kind of tyranny anymore. Focal Point, AFR Talk, back with more. Stay with us.